Afternoon, everyone. Thank you so ever much for joining us today. We are recording this session in case your colleagues, people who like also having more information about career-related topics. So I invited today our careers advisor, Angela Kinlott, which I would like to give her the floor to explain what she does, who is she, what she can do to assist you within the career services. So Angela, could you please introduce yourself? But just before we go, I'm just muting yourself, guys, just to block the noise. If you need to, when it comes to the session about asking questions, just unmute yourself and mute you back again. Okay? So Angela, shall we start?
Yes. So good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this first session of question and answers online from the Careers Service at David Game. It's lovely to see so many of you actually joining us today. Basically, you can ask anything that you want to related to careers topics. We've got some other questions that we can refer to if we run out of questions. We've only got a short amount of time, but I'll answer them as best I can. And if there's anything that I'm not sure about or needs further research, then obviously I'll say that and I'll come back to you with responses directly to you. I've been working in careers guidance for many, many years now, only at David Game since last September, but I've worked in lots of other universities and schools and colleges, so hopefully I'll be able to help you today, or if not today, then at least after I've done a little bit more research for you. So yeah, I'm happy to start whenever we're ready to go.
Oh, good. So I can just start. I have various questions, as I said. If you have any questions, either unmute yourself or you can leave your message here on the chat and we'll cover the message. So Angela, thank you very much for joining us today. And you have such experience within this career sector. So one of the topics, obviously applying for the job is about CV. Is still a CV is relevant when we're talking about, especially now, very digital ages. We are all having meetings online. How CV is still relevant nowadays?
Right. I think CVs are really still very much relevant. You may not necessarily be asked to send a CV in its traditional format, but certainly what you would put in on a LinkedIn profile is really a CV. It's just a different platform to capture that information. And much of what you'd put on a LinkedIn profile, it would be exactly the same as a traditional CV. So I think the CV is absolutely still very key and very relevant to what employers want now. Many still ask for a CV. That would either be emailed directly to them, or it could be part of the application process. But it's still absolutely relevant today. Fashions come and go a bit with CVs, so how they're laid out, how they look changes over time to a certain extent, but still I would say they're very relevant, even though they're coming onto other platforms now, like things like LinkedIn.
Okay, and if I would start my CV today, how should I start a CV?
Right. So to start your CV, at the very top of the page, you need to have your personal details. So that's your name and your contact details, and always have the name really standing out. So if you imagine a typed page, make sure that your name stands out. So make it in bold type, make it a bit bigger. But throughout the CV, don't have too many different fonts or too many different sizes, because that is confusing for the person reading it. What you want is for them to be able to look at your CV and pick out the bits that they need to see quickly. Because we know from research that employers maybe only look at a CV for a couple of seconds just to get the first impression, and then they decide whether they're going to read on. So it's very important that at the top your name stands out and how they can contact you. So your mobile number, that, you know, that kind of thing. You can put your address as well if you want to, but definitely your mobile number and your email address, and also your house address if you want that to be there. Okay, so you need to make it easy for them to contact you. You don't need things like your date of birth, you don't need your marital status, you don't need to include any caring responsibilities. So the top of your CV, that's all that it needs to include, your name and how they can contact you. Okay, and then going down from there is you would have your career profile, and that is probably the most important paragraph of the whole CV. And it's in that paragraph excuse me, you tell them about yourself. So if you're a current student at David Game, you would say, I am currently studying, and you would give the full name of the course, and you would say what you're interested in. So if you're replying to a job advert, you would say, I'm currently studying degree in blah, blah, blah.
Even though they haven't finished, we still should say it. And this is very important. Yeah.
Absolutely. Tell the employer in that first paragraph what you're studying and give the official title of the course. Okay, that's very important in that first paragraph. In that first paragraph, they need to see what it is that you want from them. So if you're inquiring about an internship, you need to put that in the first paragraph. If you're responding to a job advert, that needs to be mentioned in that first paragraph. So the first paragraph is really important. So just go straight into it. I would say a good starting point is, I am currently studying blah, blah, blah at David Game College. So then you've already started. A lot of people really worry about how they're going to start. You can start just like that. That's absolutely fine.
And also there's a topic that CVs have at right bottom is hobbies and interests. Why this is relevant or not relevant at all, but or if it is, what should it really be there? Like playing piano, is there any relevant?
Okay, so there's two schools of thought about this. Some employers will tell you that it's highly relevant because they want to know that you're a rounded person, that you've got other interests outside of your studies and outside of the actual job that you're going to be doing. Other employers will say, it doesn't matter, we're not really interested in that. We just want to know what you've studied, the results that you've got, the experience that you've got in that sector and that kind of thing. So it's really up to you whether you include hobbies or interests on your CV. What I would say to you is, if you include them, try and make them relevant to the job that you're applying for. So for example, if you say that reading is one of your interests, you can mention professional magazines that would be linked to your course, or you could say attending conferences that are linked to your course, so that they can see a relevance directly back to what it is that you're applying for. You can, if you want to, just put traveling and that kind of thing. You can put that, but I think it's nice if you can find some connection between the interest and the role that you're applying for. If it's not possible and you just want to put traveling or netball or something like that, that's fine as well, but I think it has more weight if you can actually link it to the job area that you're applying to. So if it was an admin role, for example, a business admin role, and you had been part of the Parent Teacher Association at your child's school, that would be a good thing to put down, because that could be, you know, you could be doing admin for the PTA. If you were the PTA secretary, you could, you see, so that would be a link. So it's really up to you whether you want to include that or not, because there is two schools of thought about that. So it won't matter terribly either way. There's more important things on the CV that you need to include,
Okay.
like the career profile.
Okay. We're exploring a bit the CV as is a very important, as Angela mentioned. And you have any questions? Doesn't need necessarily to be related to CV. Any questions so far about careers or career plans, goals? And especially we know here might be a mixture of students from different schools within health, business, art and design, perhaps. Do you guys have any questions so far that would like to speak out?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Charity.
How are you?
Oh, good.
Yeah. I want to find out, is it necessary to find out, like you schooled in Nigeria when you did your GSE, all those Nigerian stuff that you have left long time ago and you have been in this country for a long time, but you did your GCS in your country. Is it still relevant to refer back to your experience? Maybe you worked in your country some time ago. All those things, are they relevant?
Okay, so I would say that the most important thing to include is your most recent qualification. So that is going to be what you're studying at David Game.
Okay.
And then you can list a little bit before. So if you did, say, GCSEs in your country where you were born, and then you came here and you did other qualifications, I would want to see, if I was an employer, I would want to see that you'd studied, say, maths and English as a minimum in your home country. So I would want to see that. And then if you'd done other courses before David Game, maybe further education courses also in this country, for example, I would like to see that. And I would like to definitely see David Game. So you could go back to GCSE or the equivalent of, but I wouldn't go any further than that. You can start there.
Okay.
And that's absolutely fine. And for the very early qualifications like GCSE or equivalent, just put a line. You don't have to put a lot. You can just put the subjects that you studied, and if you the grades, and that's all you would need to do. But once you get to talk about the David Game qualifications, you can start to list some of the modules that you think would interest an employer, for example. So you give them more detail, because that is obviously going to be much more relevant now.
Okay.
Does that answer your question, Charity?
Oh, yeah, but the job experience you have in your country, because like my age now, I'm not a baby. I have worked somewhere, maybe in my country before I came to this country. That whole experience of the job, irrelevant. Do I say that I have worked before in my country and
Okay, so what an employer wants to see is that you have been consistently employed, that you have a good work record. So you don't have to go into a lot of detail about earlier jobs, but you just need to show you're employed. So you could give just a line entry. So so very briefly you can note those jobs, but again, the more relevant and the more recent jobs, then you give more detail.
Required.
But it's very important to show a consistent work record. Don't show any gaps. If you have gaps for caring responsibilities, that's absolutely fine. But if you, for instance, were out of the workforce because you had a family or were caring for relatives, just put the dates approximately and put caring responsibilities, and that's perfectly legitimate. Okay. What they don't want to see is big gaps that are unexplained.
Okay.
Thank
you. Thank you.
That's fine. That's fine.
Good. Anyone else with questions? Not now? Not now? Okay. So usually with the CV, Angela, as just linking with Charity just said, how many pages should have a CV should have? 2, 3, especially like when you have a vast experience, you worked in so many places, should be 3, 4 pages. What's the ideal?
Okay, so As a general rule, we would say 2 sides of A4, so 1 page. Okay. Because the employer, again, may have loads and loads to look through, and one of the skills that they want to see from you is that you can be concise and that you can sum up what it is that the employer needs to know. So they don't want you to ramble on and on. They want you to be concise, to capture your qualifications, your work experience, your skills on 2 sides of A4 paper, the equivalent of.
Okay.
The only situation where you would do a longer CV is if it was an academic CV, and this would be somebody who was, you know, had done a PhD and had written papers on different things and had been published and that kind of thing. Often their CVs will be much longer, but that was a completely different type of CV. Okay, so in the main, most people who are applying, having studied at David Game as an HND or a top-up degree or a degree, would be doing a 2 sides of A4, the equivalent of that length.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, fantastic. Any other questions? Because I have another one as well, but not regarding to CVs. Obviously now during lockdown, how companies are reacting? Are there any employment recruitment going on? What is the best place right now to look for a job, especially in this crisis that we are living right now?
Right, okay. So I've attended a number of different webinars just to find out actually from employers what's going on at the moment. And the big message is that employers are still recruiting. But obviously there's some sectors that are badly affected, and so they are recruiting less, but absolutely the recruitment market is still open, and so they still want to receive applications from students. The application process is likely to be quite different, so the chances are that your interview would take this format. You would actually be talking to an employer via Zoom or something like that, or over the telephone, so you won't, it's very, very unlikely you'd be going to the workplace. But no, recruitment is still happening, probably a bit less so, but actually it is still happening, still going ahead, because employers know that they're going to come out of this. We all will come out of this in some shape or form, and they want their businesses to continue. So they are still definitely recruiting. Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, were you going to say something, Angela?
No, just I said okay.
Yeah. So in terms of how you would look for jobs at the moment, it would be the same as usual. So all the portals and all the job platforms that you would normally use, then they're still open for business. So Total Jobs, Indeed, all of that kind of thing, all the volunteering websites and things, and I can actually put together a list of places where you can look for jobs, if that would be helpful for people, and then we can publish that, if that would be helpful.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Okay, that's absolutely fine. I mean, it will vary slightly according to you know, the schools that you're in, but I'll think about that as well as I'm putting the list together. And then I'll get that to Andrea, and she'll publish that in the best way for people to be able to see. Okay.
What about, as you just mentioned there, volunteering work? There's a lot of volunteering going on. Is it still relevant? I know as a students, you know, students are so busy, lots to do, plus their work side. How relevant volunteering is nowadays? How employers see a candidate that has a volunteering in his CV?
Okay, if you can do any volunteering at all that's relevant to the job that you would like to be paid for, that's really a good thing to do, because it tells the employer an awful lot about you. It tells them that you can be part of a team, you're community minded, community spirited. So yes, if you have got the time and you can do that, then that's a really good thing to do. The DoIt.org site, that's very good for volunteering. Again, I'll get some volunteering sites.
Okay, that'll be good.
And we said job sites, didn't we? Yeah. Okay, so again, I'll do some research into that as well. But definitely, yes, volunteering, if you can fit it in with your studies and it's in any way linked to what you would like to do, even if it isn't actually linked, it still shows that you're community minded, community spirited, you can be a team player, you're prepared to give of your time. That says an awful lot about you. So yes, I would always say, and remember as well to definitely include that on your CV. Often people forget things like volunteering because it's not a qualification. They often forget things like that, but do include that on your CV as well, so they can actually see that.
All right. Any questions from anyone in our Q&A session? Anyone wants to like to unmute and ask your question?
I just want to ask. Now
Hi, Abena.
Hello. Just finishing our top up, yeah.
Okay.
So that's about it for the education. So we just have to go and do our CV and start looking for job, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
We can't do any more go on any more education, isn't it? Any more coursework? Is there
master?
You're talking about a progression, academic progression.
Yes, please.
Okay, Angela, do you want to touch upon this with further education from progressing from top up, what the choices are afterwards?
So it really depends what it is. What have you been studying?
Health and social care.
Oh, health and social care. Okay, so it really depends whether you actually want to go into a career now or whether you want to do further study. So that's the first question that you really need to ask yourself, because some students would want to go on to do a master's degree, for example, and other students would want to go straight into the employment sector. So that's your first big question that you need to ask yourself, whether you want to continue studying or whether you want to go straight into the employment force. And some jobs will demand that you undertake further study anyway. So for instance, if having done your course you decided you wanted to go into nursing, that would take further study. If you decided you wanted to be a social worker, that would take further study. So it really depends on what it is that you want to do as to what your next step should be. I can help if students want help talking about what their steps, because everybody's going to be so individual for this.
Yeah.
I can talk to students individually if they want to talk about their further plans. I'm very happy to do that. You can make an individual interview slot. You can book that.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you book it, please?
Okay, guys, I'm gonna send to you here in our chat. Angela is available, all right, on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, okay? And again, as she talked about today, she is available to have one-to-one conversation to assist you, especially now, guys, you doing the top up. What should I do? What should be the next step? I'm confident that Angela can talk to you through, isn't it, Angela?
Yes, yeah, that's absolutely fine. I'm happy to. That is mostly how I have interaction with students. It's on a one-to-one basis. Obviously, it's these group chats as well, but mostly it's one-to-one. That's absolutely fine because everybody's situation is going to be slightly different. So I'm happy to do that.
Okay. So, sorry, Rosalinda.
Huh?
He was saying something?
No, I have a chat with her few weeks ago. So yeah.
Oh, right. Yes.
But I'm gonna book another appointment again. So
Okay, that's perfect. That's absolutely fine.
Guys, I'll plead you, use Angela's services. If you need to apply for the job, if you need a CV, if you're going to go external, you have to pay lots of money. And these services is being offered to you for free. It's part of your study. It's part of your employability enhancement. So Angela is available. So use her, book appointments. Again, I just put here on the chat the peak time platform so you can book your slot. You also can email Angela. She'll be happy to give a feedback or a conversation carry on over the email. Is that correct?
Yes, that's absolutely fine. Yeah,
okay.
I can talk to students via email. We can talk on Zoom if you want to on the telephone, but it's Zoom is much better because we can actually see each other face to face. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I have only one question. Can we
Sure,
find
Daniela.
Angela's details on the Moodle?
Yes. On Moodle, let me just give you a bit of brief, okay? On the Moodle, on the right-hand side of your main page, there are lots of little tabs. Nicole Swindon and jobbing sessions, library catalog, library support, and career advisor.
Yes.
If you click on that career advisor, it's gonna take you to the peak time login where you can book appointment directly with Angela. You choose your slot, that ones that suits you best, and you can and she'll send you a meeting ID from Zoom, and you're gonna have a conversation, one-to-one conversation.
Thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Guys, we are wrapping up our little first Q&A session. Thank you very much for joining us. Before we go, we plan to do this on a monthly basis? And do you have any questions that Angela would like to talk about? Any topics in specific? Would love to hear your feedback. You can write to me or you can leave the feedback on our chat. And we'll be able to organize another session soon.
all right.
Okay.
Just to say before we go, if there's
Yes.
anything you want to talk to me about, any career related issue, then contact me. You can, as Andrea said, you can book a pick time slot, or you can email me direct. You can send me your CVs. I can have a look at them and then email them back to you. Anything career related, job search that you've got questions about, I'm happy to help you with. And lastly, we have a bit of some good news coming up very, very soon. And I would like Angela to share just as a brief what we are preparing in terms of career advancements and career tools for all of you. Angela? Yeah, so we've recently joined a platform called Job Teaser. And that means that our career service that we offer you at David Game, there will still be very much the face-to-face and the one-to-one that we currently do, but it will all be captured on an online platform. And on that platform, once you've completed a profile, you'll be able to access job vacancies that will come directly to you. So the better that you make your profile, the more relevant the types of jobs will be that will come up for you. You'll be able to look at all the jobs that are available, but if you, according to your profile, it will put other jobs nearer to the top of your list. So this is something very new and exciting for us, and we've joined with Job Teaser, and they've been building this platform for us, and at the moment we're working hard on putting content on there for you, so job sort of careers resources and things that you can look at that will support your job applications and anything related to careers that you're interested in. So we're hoping to launch that in September. And students that have already left should still have access to that. So don't worry if you're actually leaving soon, that students, past students, should still be able to access that as well.
Yeah.
And it's a very positive step for us, because employers will be able to advertise their own jobs on there, and you'll be able to see them directly as well. There's all sorts of features of it. We're just finding out day by day the different features that we can use and how that we can use them to your benefit. So this is very exciting for us.
That's good.
Okay,
Yes, it is.
I just want to ask the last question.
Sure, Charity.
If we finish now, are we still able to log in? If we finish our course and we are finishing by June, we are submitting the last 25th of June, July, August, September, and forward, are we able to still access the model to get in touch with you? Or do we phone the college direct?
Okay.
Because when we finished HND, we couldn't access it. Yeah, because we are finished. So I don't know, are we going to continue to access through the...
Okay. We, unfortunately, within the platform model or Blackboard that you're using right now, it shouldn't, sometimes for a period, they keep your profile on, but then usually universities and college, they will take the profile out of their system. However, we do have your contact details, and Charities is brilliant because obviously we want to keep connected with all of you. We have a LinkedIn group in our college, and that's the best way to engage, because we can see how far you're doing. And LinkedIn is very professional platform. That's the best way that also we can keep connected to each other. Okay, but yes, we keep alumni. You're gonna be alumni from DGHE. Okay. And we'll keep in touch with alumni events. Even though you leave the college, Angela will still be available for all of you. Okay. So you will be able to still contact Angela and our career services, especially if you create the job teaser, your own profile, you have all the career services there too. Okay. And also this platform is great because lots of companies today, they do job hunting. So you may be picked if you have your profile, CV, everything spot on. You may be picked by a company who finds you fit for their vacancy. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So Angela, thank you very much for joining us today, for taking the time to answer some questions. We'll be having another session very, very soon. Okay. Hope you liked. Talk to me, send me emails, send emails to Angela, and book your appointments. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Lovely to see everybody. Bye-bye for now.